Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On the show, we talk about self-care that expands our boundaries of what we consider to be self-care. Because yes, you can eat chocolate and drink wine and have bubble baths and put cucumbers on your face. Well, just your eyes, really. And I don't know if people really put them all over their faces. I'm not familiar with that kind of self-care. But anyways, if that's all you're doing for self-care, if you're just focusing on taking care of your physical body, there's so much more to you than that. And it is valuable to have practices that address all of you, your energy, your spirit, your emotions, because that's where real transformation happens. And it's permanent. It helps you evolve into the best version of yourself at this current point in time. And that's why I'm excited about it, because I love evolution and transformation. We're doing a series on the podcast about an event I have coming up, the Courageous Self-Care Festival. And at the festival, if it's in November, it is in Calgary, Alberta. And if you're local, please come. And if you are not, then the speakers and the vendors in the wellness marketplace are such amazing people that they are too good to keep just to the festival. And so I am sharing them with you on this series. So today I have with me the fabulous and wonderful and talented Lynn Profitt. Lynn, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Christina.
So Lynn, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you love to do.
Well, you know what? Honestly, right now is such a cool time to be getting to share this with so many people, because my life changed tremendously in this past year, and for the better. And most people wouldn't consider being diagnosed with cancer a great opportunity to see the world in a whole new light, but I did. And I got such opportunity to open up to bigger, better possibilities and see places where I could actually start making some change. It was really kind of interesting that it was almost like everything I had done up to this point in time, learning about energy, focusing on, helping people, a lot of these things, it was like they were all bits and pieces, but as soon as I got cancer, they all came together. And now it's just a big world of, endless opportunities to help people see things in a different light and live a really cool life.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right. Most people wouldn't see it that way. And I love that you did. It feels like you are at the prow of a ship that is full of new possibility and a completely different way of interacting with cancer and with energy and possibility.
Oh, it's amazing. It really, really is amazing. And honestly, it was freeing, which sounds a little odd, but it was.
Yeah, I'm totally picturing that scene from Titanic, at the front of the ship, and except you're not going to sink.
No.
You're just out with your arms spread wide. My daughter told me it's called
my hair blowing in the wind. Yeah.
On this adventure, this conquest.
Yes, okay. I can't quite see me in the long, flowing frock, but all right.
Well, you can wear whatever you want.
Okay, good.
So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be sharing at the festival and why it's important to you.
Well, you know what? One of the biggest things I really learned was about the fear of cancer. That was huge. And it was really interesting, the more people I talked to, how fear was impacting not only the person with cancer, but the people around them. And also how the people around them, their fear was impacting the people with cancer.
Right.
And it really wasn't supportive in any way, shape, or form. And I know this is going to sound a little bit harsh and maybe stepping out a bit, but the more I learned about cancer and the more I learned about people going through it and how they were dealing with it, it almost came to me that cancer was almost like the biggest, most successful marketing scheme I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. Playing on the fears of people has changed and altered how pretty much majority of the society sees cancer. They, we get told, it could be terminal, or people that do get told it's terminal. All of a sudden you don't have choices. You're really out of control. And the fear is just overwhelming. And having never really experienced anything like that before, it was a very interesting journey to actually see and get to, I don't know, take that step that was even just a little bit closer to, like almost, what do you mean my life might be over? Like, I'm like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not scared to die, but I'm not ready. I got stuff I want to do. So, yeah, the fear was just crazy. And the information was even more overwhelming, because for every one thing you looked up that sounded good, there was somebody arguing against it. Mm-hmm. So it really became quite a journey. And as well, I started writing a book about it, because partly for me to express myself, but also to help other people. So I called it, as well as what I am talking about, is F it all, I'm living my way. Because it between, like I said, the fear and the information, misinformation, contradictory information that's out there, it really was, it was like a just out of control spiral. So taking back control and just saying, you know what, I got to do what's best for me. And that may not be what other people are agreeing to, whether in person or, whatever you're looking at online, whether it's treatments or just support or anything like that. It just was crazy. I even had one lady actually tell me when I told her I was doing some alternative work. And she told me, oh, that's great. My husband did that. He died. I'm like, okay, well, thank you for that. I'm sorry to hear about your husband, but I was like, really? Like, why would you say that? The whole thing was really a confusing experience. And so in order for me to be successful in my own healing, and not even so much my own healing, but living my life fully, no matter if I, just supposing I did have months or weeks left or years, but I wanted to live my life fully in my own control. And so that's what I want to share at the conference, is just about how we can take back our control and, minimize fear. It's really tough to get rid of it, but minimize it at least, so that you are making good choices for yourself and for other people around you.
Well, this sounds like a super important topic. It sounds very counterculture, which is exciting. And I can identify with some of the aspects of what you said. My mom went through a cancer journey herself, and she said from the inside, she could just tell it was a gigantic business.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I know. And I actually did get a chance to tell my doctor after we had our small... We had a different point of view of how this was going to all happen, but I did get a chance to actually tell him, like, since the very beginning of my diagnosis, it was like I felt like a number on a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And that was it. And all they were doing is following their protocols with no consideration of anything else. And especially of me being a human being. So, it was really interesting, but I did get to tell him, and, he thanked me. I'm sure he had a few other words afterwards, but
some like, oh, well,
whatever. So, we get along now, but but it was, I did take the opportunity to, once again, just saying what I needed to say.
Right.
Which in a way kind of felt like stepping out for me, because to actually do that, probably years ago, I never would have.
Right.
But this got to the point where I would say I was angry, not because I had cancer. I was angry because I was being, like I said, treated like less than a human being, just doing the protocols. And it didn't make sense to me. Because,
at the time when you need it the most, to be seen for who you are and to be accepted and to be humanized, it's the opposite is happening.
So, and also, I mean, my whole background, or not whole background, but a lot of my background in the last several years is all based in energy. And when you start looking at cancer as an energy as opposed to a physical manifestation, it becomes a very different experience. And all of a sudden, even a lot of the alternatives, never mind, the pharmaceutical and our medical system approach to it, becomes really, it doesn't make sense. Like, there is so much more to managing and taking care of and altering our own state, which our bodies heal themselves. And it's not a matter of chemo or radiation or whatever other types of, alternatives you do. As long as you just maintain taking care of physical state alone, it does not make sense. Like, you are not going to manage anything really if you just look at things from a physical standpoint, because that's not who we are.
Exactly. That's what I said at the begining, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, this sounds awfully familiar. Yes.
Yes. So that is a perfect segue. I'm so glad you're going to be talking about this. And that's a perfect segue into, what do you think? I'm curious, what does self-care actually mean to you, Lynn?
Yeah, well, and this changed a lot in the last little while, because ultimately self-care became more about embracing change. It was now about not stagnating, not being complacent, not just, this is comfortable and living in that state. Because I realized, in order for me to get better, to allow my body to heal and to be, living my life to the best that I could, obviously something I was doing was not energetically supporting me. Right. So it was all about embracing change. And it may be uncomfortable here and there. And, one of the biggest parts I found was, it was almost confusing to make changes, because it was like, well, what do I change? Like, there were parts of my life that I like. There are other things. And it's like, it was actually confusing to start to change. But it was maintaining and holding that space for change and going with it and just seeing what happens. So I actually started looking at a lot of my life as an experiment. So I would go out or go and do something, and I would choose a moment where I could do something just a little bit differently than what I normally would, just to see what happened. And that was it. But it was like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. And then, it was very little things. And yet it became like a game. It became fun. And it was just, all of a sudden, I was living life in a very different way. And every once in a while, I forget about doing that and sink back into my old, strategies of life. But when I did, and when I still do, I have a great time. Like I said, it's just funny. People are, we're really strange creatures. And when we interact, it's so funny. So, just, finding the joy in that. It was, it was a lot. It's a very different way of life now than what it was.
That is so powerful. And I'm curious, do you have an example of something that you remember that you changed and showed up differently?
Well, I have the opportunity because, we have a booth at the New Edmonton Farmers Market. So I have an opportunity literally every weekend to encounter many people. And I've had so much fun with it, because, one thing I started really doing and making a conscious effort of is not judging people. By, we don't realize how often we judge people by the way they look or assume things about them just by seeing them. And so it was like I stopped doing that. And it was really funny because, we talk about people with resting bitch face. And it's like, there are actually quite a few of them, and yet they are the sweetest, most endearing people that I've met. It's just a little unfortunate they don't look very happy when they're just relaxed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was one way that I started changing, because I got to talk to all these people that I would normally, just almost automatically jump to the conclusion that they were, cranky, nasty people. But I stopped doing that. And yeah, and it's just been great to get to meet and talk to some very, very wonderful people.
No wonder your life is so fun now.
Oh yeah, it's great. My life was fun before, but now I don't know, it's taken on a whole new aspect of kind of like experimenting and getting the chance to just experience different things. So, but it had to start within me.
Right.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I'm sure if I had never been diagnosed with cancer, I'm not sure I would have made these changes or made them as quickly.
Right.
So it really was such an opportunity to make big changes and just big leaps.
Yeah. It's our body's way of getting our attention that if we continue on the same path, it's not going to serve us, and we're not going to evolve and transform in the way that we're meant to. Yeah. And yeah, any disease, dis-ease, or any chronic illness or physical injury, all of those are calls for us to show up differently. And so I love that you embraced that and really took it to a place that is fun by experimenting. That sounds delightful. Like, what will happen if I do this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The good times never end. I mean, we as people and as species are just strange. We really are. We are so good for a laugh that I'm sure if there are aliens and they're watching us, we are a sitcom. So
the Earth sitcom.
Yep. Yeah, we're just, and they're probably just killing themselves laughing.
That's awesome. So you've already shared a whole bunch of courageous things, and we can tell that you are a super courageous person. And I'm curious, what I want to ask you is, what is something about you that not a lot of people know?
Well, I guess it's something I kind of took up last year, actually. And a lot of it started with last year's Courageous Self-Care Festival. I started painting, and not just painting like landscapes or anything like that, but I started painting sacred geometry. And, it's really funny because now I have a whole bunch of them in my house. And I've gone to a couple of, metaphysical markets and things like that. And I've sold some, which is fabulous. But it was really funny when I took them all out of the house to go to the market, the energy in the house shifted. And it felt like something was missing. It was really quite odd. It was like, oh, I want them back. Like, I miss there is certainly an energy about them that, especially when you have quite a few of them together, that, yeah, it is a noticeable difference when they're not there.
Yeah, I love that. And you gave me one. I love mine.
Oh, good. Yeah, I love doing it. And yeah, I'll have a few more for the festival this year.
Awesome. So if you want to come see these amazing sacred geometry paintings in real life, then yeah, do show up at the festival. Okay, so I know that people are going to be very interested in what you've said, and not everyone's going to be able to attend. Like if they're in, hello Australians, and hello people in Germany, and other amazing places where you're all listening from. Singapore, I get a list and I get to see where people are listening from. So I think about you all the time. And yeah, I know some of you aren't going to be able to make it. So I want for people to be able to connect with you, Lynn. So where can they find you online?
You know what? My website is at livingcurrents.com. So all lowercase, just livingcurrents.com. or, I love getting emails at livingcurrents@gmail.com. And as well, you know what, I'm on Facebook as Living Currents Life Coaching, or just me, Lynn Profitt.
I'm sensing a theme along Living Currents.
Yeah. Yes, it seems to be everywhere, but we're expanding.
Yes, that's right. Always. Beautiful. So the link to the website is in the show notes. You can click on that easily and be whisked away to connect with Lynn, or drop her a line by email. And you would love that, right, Lynn?
I would. I love it. I love getting emails because really I don't get a ton of them. I find I get way more texts and things and messages on Facebook than emails. So, that would be exciting for me. It would be like a letter showing up in the mail.
That's right. Well, I'm super excited to have you at the festival. I'm really grateful that you took time to let us into your story and share your approach to coming through that journey. It's so powerful. And yeah, I'm so glad that you are open and willing to share about it, because it's transformative.
Yes. Well, I know it was for me.
Yeah.
And hopefully, just even my story can, if it can help a few people, that's awesome.
Exactly. That's why we go through the struggles, right? So that we can reduce other people's suffering.
You know what? It honestly wasn't a struggle. I know it sounds so strange, but it was, I don't know. It was just something almost that had to happen for me.
Yes.
And so I just learned what I needed to and moved on.
Yeah, my mom felt the same way. She said, I'm never running in those run for the cure things. I didn't survive anything. I'm fine.
Actually, yes, that's about it too. It's at no point in time did I feel like a victim, a survivor, there's no war or battle or anything like that. It was just I should probably change a couple of things. Okay. Then we moved on. Yeah.
Powerful. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And if you are local or you want to make a journey to the Courageous Self-Care Festival, it will be worth it. And as a thank you and a gift for listening to this episode all the way to the end, I know lots of people drop off, but you didn't. So big, giant, virtual gold star for you right on your forehead. And you can come to the festival for free. I would love to gift you a ticket. So you can go to selfcareticket.com and click on any of the activate your ticket buttons, enter your name and email, and you'll get all the details for the festival. And you can even bring a friend. So you're welcome to share that link with someone who is stressed out and overwhelmed and burnt out and frazzled and running around from one place to the next. That's who this festival is for. So you can learn some really powerful and useful strategies on how to make self-care a lifestyle rather than something you wait for your next vacation. Lynn, thank you again for being here.
Well, thanks so much for doing this, Christina. It is such an awesome festival. Last year was amazing. So I'm so excited to actually be coming back.
Me too. I am excited for it as well. All right. Thank you for listening. I look forward to connecting with you again next time. Bye-bye for now.